What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're back with another treasure map preparation video, and today we're going to be talking about treasure map Vivi. Vivi herself is a very good unit actually, and in this specific treasure map, because it was following a huge celebration with the French anniversary, I do suspect that it's going to be relatively difficult to rank up, especially in New World, because most of the New World players are, the people that tend to spend a bit more cash on the game, so I think that there's going to be a lot of people ranking up in this specific treasure map, so it's going to be quite difficult. But the map itself is actually pretty straightforward, very easy, not many debuffs that you have to worry about. Plus, considering Shanks' crew are boosted and one of the best point boosters on this entire map, it does make building teams a lot easier, that's for sure. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So first things first, let's actually talk about the brand new unit that we're all going to be maxing out in this treasure map, which is going to be the brand new Vivi, and she is a Psy Free Spirit Cerebral character. Her stats with Limit Break expansion are pretty good, as you would expect. With Cotton Candy, she'll have nearly 2,000 attack, she'll have nearly 4,000 health, she'll have some recovery as well. As for her Captain effect, she's going to boost Psy characters' attack by 2.75 with a 1.3 recovery boost, which is pretty nice actually, and then makes recovery slots count as beneficial. And then during the turns when you activate her special, which according to the database is titled Desert Teardrop, it might be called something else on global, but essentially the turn you activate her special ability, your Captain effect is a 3.75 times boost instead to Psy characters. It's a very good free-to-play Captain effect. And her special, which is 13 turn max, if you Limit Break expand her, she goes down to 12 turns, changes adjacent slots into recovery, reduces 3 turns of chain coefficient reduction and chain lock, so nice to get rid of those chain defects, and then also for 1 turn boost the attack of the entire team by 1.75 times, and if you launch her special twice in the same turn, it's a 2 times attack boost to all characters instead. And she does actually have double special activation with her Limit Break, so it is very nice that you're able to rainbow her out and you'll be able to launch her special twice in the same turn, which is obviously very good. One thing to note though is that in this treasure map, if you are using this character, ensure that you don't use like her special straight after a Shanks special, like Shanks crew special, because she obviously removes chain lock with her special. So if you have a Shanks crew special active, removing that with her special is obviously going to be really bad, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? But either way, this is a pretty decent free-to-play treasure map character that you will be able to get your hands on by playing this event. So getting into these bosses, the first boss that we're going to talk about is the Intrusion fight, which is against Monkey D. Luffy. On stage 2, you will go ahead and fight the mini-boss version of Luffy, who starts off with 500,000 health, and his preemptive attack will have a delay immunity, and for 3 turns, he's going to have a % damage reduction buff, so a rainbow shield buff for 3 turns, and also he cuts your crew's health by 70%. They obviously want you to use Arlong crew here as your captains, and by lowering your crew's health, you are able to get, more effects off with the Arlong, of course. So that's something to look forward to if you have Arlong crew, but it doesn't really mean you need to use Arlong crew specifically. It's just that if you have him, you can go ahead and use him to get, type advantage and all of the beneficial effects that Arlong can provide to your team. Now, talking of stage 3, Luffy has 1.5 million HP, and his preemptive attack will go ahead and apply delay immunity, so you cannot delay him at all. He's going to bind your middle row for 5 turns, so with sockets it's only going to be 2 turns. He's going to paralyze your entire team for 3 turns and give your crew all badly matching slots, which is also pretty annoying. And below 50%, Luffy will apply 5 turns of special reverse only to your top row and cut your health in half. So basically don't get in below 50%, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. Now, speaking of the team that I'm suggesting here, the team that I am suggesting is a free-to-play team with a friend Captain Shanks crew. As for the units here, we've got Treasure Map Ace as the main captain because he's a pretty good unit with type advantage and 3.44 multiplier if your character has a strength slot. Komurasaki for her amazing utility effects. You can use her on stage 2 to remove all turns of the Rainbow Shield. Then you've got the Shanks switching effect to give your crew basically some matching orbs and also an attack boost there, which is quite good. And then also on stage 3, you have the Straw Hats character, which was available from the Escape Logtown event. They've got a pretty good special, actually. Their special will go ahead and change adjacent slots into matching. They'll also get rid of 3 turns of Bind, Despair, and Paralysis. So they can get rid of all of the negative effects that will happen on that final stage, and then you can just go ahead and use the Shanks special, you can use the Ace special, everything else, but using it in the order of Straw Hats, then Big Mom, and then Shanks, and then Ace, in order to get, you know, all the strength slots, and then all the beneficial effects that Big Mom will give you, and also the chain lock that Shanks will give you, and this is going to be more than enough damage to take it down Luffy for a very, very long time. So once the Intrusion boss battle has been dealt with, you can move on now to the first of the Battle Rush bosses, which is against Nami. So Nami only has 120,000 health and she's a Psy character, but her preemptive attack will have a delay immunity. She'll also special bind only your crewmates for 3 turns, and then she also summons 4 other clone Nami characters, and they all have the same HP, so 120,000, and obviously in later nav levels this might be quite intimidating, have so many enemies with relatively higher HP pools, but they only have 120,000 with low scaling, so it's not really that intimidating. And below 50%, all the Namis will do the same thing of binding a middle row character and a bottom row character for 5 turns. So essentially, make sure not to get any of them below 50%, but they don't really do that much. So in terms of the team that I am suggesting here, the Rebecca and Viola from the previous treasure map is really good here because their special ability will remove special bind, so you can use that, and the more enemies that are on the enemy side of the field, the higher chain lock you actually get from their special. So they are legitimately the perfect unit for this fight. Also, another really good unit here is Colosseum Sangor, who can provide you with color affinity and some orb manipulation. Treasure Map Whitebeard's also pretty good because he does lots of AoE damage that can deal a pretty good amount of damage towards the enemy here, and likely Whitebeard is going to be able to clear all of these mob characters for a decent amount of time. Obviously, when the scaling gets a little bit too high, you won't be able to do that, but he actually will be able to use it in early stages to just completely wave clear the entire stage. And then you can use Raid Carrot for attack boost. Whitebeard also provides you an orb boost. Blackbeard can be used instead. There's lots of different variations you can go with here, but as long as you have some int characters on your team for type advantage, you're not going to have any issues. The next Battle Rush boss is against Chopper. Chopper is an int character with 450,000 HP at nav level 1. Preemptive attack is simply a delay immunity, so you cannot delay him, but you can still reduce defense, poison, whatever you want to do, and he applies 5 turns of attack down. That's literally all he does. I mean, he does things after turn 3 and below 50%, but legit, he only will apply attack down on his preemptive attack, so he's very easy to deal with. So in terms of the team that I am suggesting here, I do have friend Captain Marco as a suggestion here, just because it gives you a little bit more points, but it's not a requirement at all. One unit that I would say is very good here is Edward Weevil. I would suggest bringing Edward Weevil as a sub on your team, and then perhaps running Smoothie Oven as your captain, because they can be used to boost the attack of Psy characters. But essentially, you want to just be bringing a full Psy team, and then have Edward Weevil as a sub here, because Edward Weevil can remove the attack down and then give your entire team a 2x attack boost. Literally the perfect character for this fight. Very, very easy. Do not need to worry at all. Next Battle Rush boss is against Sanji. Sanji is a quick character with 500,000 HP on nav level 1. His preemptive attack will have defense down immunity, so this time you can delay him, but you can't provide any defense down conditionals or anything like that. He'll also have 1 turn of damage immunity, so there is a very key character that can help you with that. And also he changes all of your crew slots into empty orbs, and after 2 turns and every 2 turns afterwards, he's going to blow away 2 random crewmates. So you definitely want to kill him before turn 2, and he gives you more empty orbs after that as well. And below 20% he blows away your captain. So basically, don't get him below 20% and also kill him before that second turn. So pretty self-explanatory. In terms of the characters that I'm suggesting here, the key unit here is Raid Buggy. Raid Buggy will get rid of the damage immunity that Sanji has, and you'd have to bring someone else to give you the beneficial slots, because he gives you empty orbs. Now, in this free-to-play example here, we're using the Fortnite Brook, the art style Brook. He changes empty orbs into Dex, which is obviously good for your Dex characters. For your other characters, obviously it won't be that great, but remember the switch effect of Buggy, which you can use before activating his special, gives your Slasher and driven characters are 1.2 times color affinity, so that further enhances the damage of your Dex slashes in this fight. Shuten Maru is good because he's an attack booster for slashes. Treasure Map Mihawk, when you use his special, is a 3.5 times captain, and he gives you a chain lock, he gives you an orb boost. You got Colosseum Smoothie for color affinity. So after all of these specials are activated, your Shuten Maru and your Brook on this team are going to be hitting ridiculously hard. But if you have the dual Kuro and Django character, I would replace that with this Brook, because the Kuro and Django are higher point boosters, they've got better stats, and they just do things better than what the other characters do on this team. Plus, when you use Buggy and the Kuro and Django together, you can actually get a 1.75 delayed conditional boost against the enemy. So it's a better partnership if you have those characters that I mentioned. But obviously, if we're talking about just purely free-to-play, this team is going to be able to get the job done. Now, the final of the Battle Rush bosses is against Zoro. Zoro is a Dex character with 500,000 HP. His preemptive will have a full immunity buff. He has 4 turns of enemy defense up. He applies 4 turns of attack down to your team, and he binds just your captains for 7 turns. That's a lot of debuffs that this guy does to your team. And after 2 turns, and then every 3 turns afterwards, he does end of turn damage, he buffs his own attack, he just does lots of bad things, so you want to kill him as quick as possible, obviously. Now, he does a lot of debuffing and buffing to himself, so the main thing here is to have Colosseum Komurasaki maxed out, because she can remove the attack down and she can remove the bind that's inflicted to your captains with double special activation. The only thing that free-to-play characters or free-to-play people are going to have with this particular boss fight is dealing with the enemy's defense up, because there are no good characters that are boosted that you can run that would remove all of the defense that Zoro inflicts on himself. You'd have to run multiple different characters in order to just remove the defense. So this team aims to just deal enough damage to break through the defense. I don't know if you can actually break through the defense with your normal attacks. If you cannot, then this team will not be that optimal, but it really does depend on how much defense Zoro applies to himself. But this team aims to deal as much damage as possible. You've got obviously double Raid Ace here with his attack boost and his orb manipulation special. You've got Raid Akanu for color affinity. You've got Treasure Map Smoker for combo boost and a orb boost to your fighters and driven characters. So the strength units on this team are both fighters, or they're all fighter characters. So your strength characters on this team are going to hit ridiculously hard. You've got Treasure Map Jack on this team, who actually removes some of that defense up, but he only removes 2 turns of it, so it's not like super optimal. But it all actually comes down to like what the defense is on Zoro. You could run some support effects to reduce that defense a little more if you have them. You'd have to change up the team just a little bit in order to provide that. But yeah, as I said, it does come down to what his actual defense is. And if you have the Gin and Don Krieg unit from the recent Sugo Fest, he's the best unit to run on this team because he's an orb booster and he also removes the enemy's defense up. So if you have that unit, I would replace the Smoker character with Krieg and Gin if you have them. So now we can talk about the final boss fight, which is against Vivi. But on stage 6, we have a mini boss Koza, who is a strength unit with 400,000 HP and a preemptive attack of special binding all your characters for 3 turns, and for 5 turns he applies chain coefficient reduction. So this is where Shanks' crew is obviously going to be seeing play, as he can become a quick unit and also can remove special bind with his captain effect, and can also use his special to get around the chain coefficient reduction. So you can see how this character here is going to be very good in this example. Now moving on to stage 7, which is the final boss fight against Vivi, who's an int character, which obviously Shanks' crew becoming the Shanks version can be Psy and get some type advantage against Vivi. Now Vivi has 1.25 million HP on nav level 1, and her preemptive attack will have delay immunity for 98 turns, 98 turn attack up as well, so she's going to be hitting really hard if she attacks you, and she has a resilience buff as well, which again is why Shanks' crew is optimal here, because his end of turn damage from his dual captain effect is going to be able to just bypass the resilience, which is great. And then also she changes all of your orbs into block orbs, which again is pretty annoying, so you need to bring someone dedicated to changing those block orbs into matching. After turn 2, she increases damage taken on your team for 99 turns, and below 50%, Vivi will recover 50% of her max HP, and she's going to remove all beneficial effects that are applied to your team. So pretty annoying to deal with, and it's basically like if you don't have a dedicated unit to get rid of the resilience, she's just going to heal back up and just do lots of really bad things. So you need to have some sort of unit to get around the resilience, but ideally you use a Shanks crew friend captain here to make your life a whole lot easier in this treasure map. So as for the free-to-play team that I am suggesting here, we have Shanks crew as our friend captain. We actually have the Vivi here. We've got the Vivi from the current treasure map where you can actually farm her. Obviously you're not going to have her on nav level 1, but she's really good once you get her maxed out. So instead of running that, you would probably run maybe Stampede Sabo could be your option as your captain instead. It does depend on certain, you know, units that you have on your account. But as for the other units here, all the other units here are just there, you know, because the Vivi actually doesn't really do that much, and Shanks crew as a captain and with his special basically counters everything that this fight actually does. The only actual thing that you will need in this fight that Shanks crew does not get rid of is some sort of unit to get rid of the block orbs. And in this example here, I've got the free-to-play treasure map Shanks on the team to change all orbs randomly and give you a high chance of matching slots. That's the only reason why he's on this team. We've got Sabo for color affinity. You can use the attack boost of Law if you want to, or you can use the attack boost of Vivi. But remember, if you use Shanks special in stage 6, you will not be able to use Vivi special, or you can, it's just you won't get the chain lock from Shanks, as Vivi will actually remove it with her special ability. But it really comes down to what you feel is necessary for the time. But this team is not going to have any issues dealing with Koza or Vivi throughout the duration of the treasure map. Now, showing off all the teams once again in terms of free-to-play side of things, against the Intrusion Luffy, the two really nice utility units you want to have is Colosseum Komurasaki and the Straw Hat Pirates character from the Escape Logtown event. And then the rest of the characters that are surrounding that are just enhancing your damage output on multiple different stages. So really nice team. Moving on against the first of the Battle Rush bosses is against Nami. So you want to make sure you have Rebecca and Viola set as your captain, or you have some sort of sub that resists Special Bind and can remove Special Bind on your crew to enable you to deal more damage towards the enemy. So obviously Rebecca and Viola are the key unit, and then replacing the rest of the team with other int characters to enhance your damage. Against Chopper, Edward Weevil is the key unit here. Remove the attack down, get an attack boost, and then the surrounding units around him are just dedicated to either orb manipulation or an orb boost or whatever have you to give you more damage against the int boss Chopper. Very simple. Against Sanji, he has damage immunity, so the raid buggy is very good for removing that. And then you need some sort of character that can change empty orbs into matching, or just can generate some matching orbs for your team. And in this example, we have that Fortnite Brook character which changes empty orbs into Dex orbs. So him and Shuten Maru are dealing lots of damage. You've got Mihawk for orbs and a chain lock, Smoothie for color affinity, Shuten Maru for an attack boost. It's a pretty cohesive slasher team that's able to get the job done. And then against Zoro, he has lots of different debuffs and buffs that he applies to himself. Colosseum Komurasaki is going to be a pretty key unit here. Unfortunately, there are no good defense removers that are free to play. If you have the Gin and Don Krieg rare recruit from the recent batch, you should put him on the team instead of Smoker. It's going to help you out, clearing it a lot easier, of course, but this should be enough damage to break through the enemy defense, even though there's no real good free-to-play unit that can remove the defense, unless if you have a bunch of other characters that do the same role just to remove all the turns of the defense. But it really does come down to what characters you have in your character box. But this team against Zoro should be dealing enough damage to break through the defense. And then the final team against Vivi, which we just discussed, is essentially having Shanks crew as your friend captain carries you throughout the whole fight. The only thing that you'll need to bring outside of Shanks crew as a friend captain is some sort of unit to change block orbs into matching. Once you have that, you're not going to have any issues dealing with the rest of the fight against Vivi or against the mini boss Koza on stage 6. So that is going to wrap up this video today, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.